Watching at home. Good evening to everybody tuning in live to what is yet to be another promising season of A Story Of. This is our second season here on Bouey Films, so do us a favor and subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment. As you guys already know, and if you don't know, I'm going to let you know, this is our season 2, season opener, The Story Of. Michael Bouey, who we have here with us today. Bouey, what's going on?
How are you? I'm all the way up here, kind of like your top button. I'm feeling good.
I like that. I like it, man. I'm excited to do this. If you guys don't know, again, we did season 1, My Story, and now we're putting the weight on Michael with his story, season 2, The Story Of Michael Bouey. So again, this is a very promising season that we are here to do. If you guys don't know, you won't know, and you're gonna learn through the course of this season. Michael Bouey is an aspiring artist, and we're gonna find out exactly what that means through his story. Because as we know, there's a lot of different artists, and Michael Bouey does not strike me as an how could I say this, a visual artist. But a lot of you may be surprised to find out just exactly what he has to offer the world, So let's get right into it, man. Let's get started, some of your formative years, Let's talk about what sort of drew your attention to what we can call the entertainment industry. What grabbed your attention, your passion? What grabbed your eyes?
I mean, I was somebody who was drawn to it at a very young age. I think it was when I was 5 years old. I had this clown come to my birthday. His name was Bones the Clown. Mr. Bones was his name. And, him bringing me up there, he did magic throughout his act. He brought me up there and people would sing happy birthday to me. And like, I'm short compared to him. I'm 5 years old, he's an adult, and I'm looking at him entertain, and I'm looking out, while kids are singing happy birthday, and I see how they're entertained, and they're smiling, and they're laughing. I was drawn to his whole hour-long show, his magic show, and how he was able to do what's impossible. When you're a kid, you see what's normal, and the things that you see that are abnormal are the things that you see on the television screen. And you see this person in here doing things that are impossible and entertaining people and making them laugh and smile. And to me, that was such a magical moment that inspired me. It caused me, at a very young age to where I decided that I was going to get into magic. And I started doing, this is fast forwarding a little bit forward to a point where I was like inside of my, junior high years, and I was doing magic shows around the block and entertaining, and I got to a point where I was doing magic shows, at libraries and things. I was doing street magic. So magic was really the first talent, so to speak, that got me into things. And just to kind of show you, it got to a point where I got magic down packed, to take an ordinary card that I wrote 3 of clubs on there, and then when you change it, you can change it to the 5 of spades, and that's just how magic is. I learned magic, I perfected it, and I loved entertaining and showing people how you can take something that seems so unrealistic and make it look realistic. And like I said, that started at age 5 with Bones, Mr. Bones, the clown, and forever he changed my life. And what's funny is I would say maybe about 25, 30 years later, 25 years later, my dad had like a retirement picnic, and I was he asked me to go or whatever. Like it was a family outing for this retirement picnic, or not. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a retirement. It was some type of picnic for the company. And I go there, and they hired entertainment. Now I'm 25 years old, I would say, maybe 26, and I go to this picnic. The entertainment that they hired was Mr. Bones. After 25 years, I come face to face with the guy that changed my life.
So, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's interesting because this is the first time I'm hearing of it, and our viewers are definitely the first time hearing of it as well. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong. Every time we hear somebody in the entertainment industry, sorry about that, speak about their upbringing and what really got them interested, and they always talk about, oh, I saw so and so person on TV, and I saw this other guy on TV, and I saw my favorite rapper on TV, or and you talked about that a little bit. You touched on that a little bit, and you also talked a little bit about why it was that a person that was in front of you at a very young age had a big impact in that. Why do you think it was that you almost, I don't want to say steered away, and if you didn't steer away, correct me, but why was it that you almost steered away from the mainstream, like, oh, Eddie Murphy inspired me, oh, Ice Cube inspired me, oh, these, people that I saw on TV inspired me. Why did you steer away from that? And why did you really think, like, okay, you know what, it was Mr. Bones who really grabbed my attention? Why do you think that was?
Well, I mean, I was a young age. I was only 5 years old, so to me, it's not like I was able to watch Eddie Murphy Raw and Delirious. I'm watching cartoons, and so to me, cartoons are not realistic enough to where it's like, oh, I see this stuff. I mean, you see cartoons doing things that humans would do, but you don't really appreciate that stuff. So I think that it was just, and I guess I always loved just film in general, TV, being entertained by TV, but to have that moment, I think that transcended to something more, because I said I wanted to put smiles on people's faces. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to learn this craft. And I spent years, 25 plus years, maybe even longer, studying how to do magic and how to perfect it, how to do all kinds of different things. I went and saw a lot of different magicians, David Copperfield, Penn and Teller, Piff the Magic Dragon. I mean, I've seen a lot of them live and in person. One person I wanted to see was the Mason Jonathan. I loved comedy magic, and he was one of the biggest ones. But comedy magic in general, that was like the starting point. When I was younger, I really wanted to be an FBI agent. That was the dream. And it transcended to magic inside of the entertainment. But there were so many different other talents inside of the entertainment industry that I came across. It was a little bit later when I was younger. I actually learned how to play the piano, and to me that was something that resonated with me, because not many people know how to do it. And to this day, I'm not somebody that can read notes. Even then, I was not somebody that could read notes. My talent for playing the piano came from playing it by ear. I don't know if you know what that means. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, a little bit, but explain it to us a little bit for our viewers. What does that mean?
So when you play the piano, you're able to read notes, and you play each note on the keys. And I didn't know where those keys were. When you press certain keys, they make a certain sound, and I knew what those sounds were. So to play the song, I was able to just know which keys that made which sounds. I was able to play it without looking. The notes meant nothing. I couldn't tell you what that shit meant on the paper, but I knew what the keys sounded like, and I was able to play the music. And I'm to a point where I've played like Für Elise by Beethoven and Moonlight Sonata, like a lot of big scores. These aren't like small things that I can play, and it's a lot of those things also come from memory, repetition, and trial and error. But I did piano, and then even at a younger age, my mom and dad for Christmas got me something called a Tyco video cam, and it was basically a camera that you can plug up the audio and video capabilities to, like a VCR. If anybody knows what a VCR is, that really displays my age, but you can plug it up, and then you can film stuff onto a VHS tape. That's what goes into the VCR, if anyone doesn't know what a VHS tape is. But and we were making like little stupid videos. So I was making videos and directing videos. That's where I fell in love with filmmaking. And then when I got to like my, elementary years, like fifth, sixth grade, I was writing plays and performing them at the school, and I was acting in plays, So it just transcended a lot of different things in the entertainment industry, and it continued on when I got older, and we'll talk about that when we get into further episodes. But in my younger years, those were really the three biggest things that made a difference. I also played soccer. I wouldn't say that that's inside the entertainment industry, but it kind of is.
We'll talk about it, because that was my next question. Actually, you mentioned a little bit about sort of the things that you were doing, growing up, to sort of expand your knowledge, right, about the entertainment industry. You did a little bit of music, you did a little bit of magic, you did a little bit of plays, right, theater, I guess you could call it. Are there any other things you did to sort of not only get yourself out there as an entertainer, but also touch a little bit on what other activities, if you will, extracurriculars, you sort of took on that were outside of the entertainment industry? Was it, in your case, maybe braiding hair, or like you just said, some sports? What other activities did you take on?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. I see him to be one of the best entertainers in the entire world to have ever lived. He was multi-talented. He was someone that can sing, dance, and play an instrument. And I think that magic was just a starting point. When you get on stage, you can learn the craft, but it's difficult because you have to learn how to, if you're doing comedy magic, to write jokes that are funny. You can't just go up there. I mean, you just go up there and talk, and you just assume the jokes are going to be funny. So there's so much that goes into being good at what you do. Even if doing magic, you can't just learn magic and be good at it. I guess that kind of resonated with me, and said I need to learn how to do some of those things. And I think with the camera, I enjoyed making those little stupid skits, with toys or with my friends or whatever. But in the same aspect, it's like with magic, it's like they say, it's smoke and mirrors and camera tricks, and some magic is. And so if I want to do certain tricks, how do I learn how to maneuver the camera? If I want to be funny with comedy, how do I write jokes? So writing, the one of the first plays that I wrote was called The Two Ninja Dum Dums, and I wish I could find the script. And my sixth grade teacher let me perform it at like a Halloween party, and I casted like everybody, and it gave them roles and lines, and had a storyline and everything. And that was like one of the first things that I wrote as a piece, and it was a comedy piece. So and I watched a lot of comedy. When I got a little bit older, when I was able to watch, I would sneak and watch, or my parents would allow me to kind of watch Comic View or Def Jam, if it wasn't too bad, or who was on or whatever. So, that's where I just fell in love, just analyzing their, like, how do you tell jokes? How are you funny on stage? And, all of that just played into a role of this magic. That's why I did magic for so long. One would have assumed that that's what I would be doing today, that I aspired to be a magician. And one of my neighbors down the street, I have like a picture of him and I when we were younger. His name was Raheem. He'll be mad at me for showing this picture, but he was my neighbor down the street, and him and I were kind of like the Siegfried and Roy and Penn and Teller, where we wanted to do magic. But I kind of forced him into it. He didn't have the love for magic, and so he kind of started to die down. And him and I were a pretty good duo. I think we could have gone far. You have to find those.
Is that something you pick up? You said he didn't have the love for magic. Is that something you can pick up, or is that something that has to be instilled in you, or is that something that you're born with it, and if you're not, then oh well, out of luck?
I don't really think anybody knows. I think when you experience things in life, you find what you love and like. And I think that my moment was with Mr. Bones. He didn't have that moment, and he didn't live on that block at age 5. He came maybe when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. He moved onto the block. And so I had already had a love, and I was already searching for magic in my own ways. And, I had a friend, and I didn't want to do it alone. It was something that I've always been like that, where I'm scared to do things alone. Just because you need people. You need, in some aspect, no big time celebrity did it on their own. There's cast, there's crew, there's directors, there's lighting guys, there's sound guys. Everybody makes them look good. And so he was that guy that I just wanted to go on the road. I was inspired by the Siegfried and Roys and the Penn and Tellers. And so I was trying to create that duo. And I really thought we could have been something that could have went far. And he started to die out. So I grew to a point where I was doing it on my own. Like I said, I got to a point where I was going and doing shows at libraries for pay and other places for pay. And even when I got to college, and I know I shouldn't be talking about the college years, but I even got to that point where I was doing magic. I met a guy named Zach, and him and I were walking around on campus late at night, and we were doing street magic for people. And the magic, like, this is 20 years later, so I had really got good to a point where we were just blowing people's fucking mind because magic evolved. But that's really, from FBI agent to magician, that's what I thought I was going to do. And then it became just a toss between magic, and I started to actually like acting. I got into, watching a lot more movies when they got older, and so therefore I had a love for movies. So I really couldn't decide. It was either or, acting, magic, either or I wanted to do, but I had a love for all of them, but it started with magic. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. I think I'm getting the gist of it. And like you said, we're gonna sort of move forward in the sort of this timeline of your story, the story of Michael Bouey. And so, but I just want to go back a little bit and just make a quick comment. You say that you almost were afraid at a young age, right, to sort of go and try things on your own. And this is why you had your friends sort of there with you. And I just have to speak on that briefly because I've known you for, I would say, a fair amount of years, right? And I think I've told you a few times, actually, that you have a work ethic to where you are a go-getter. Like, you want something, you go and you get it. Me personally, that's my opinion of you, and I told you have a work ethic where it's like, doesn't matter who's going to support me, doesn't matter who's riding with me, I'm going to go and do it, because it's what I love, it's what I want. So that just shows me, and I hope a lot of the viewers can grasp this about you, the growth that you've had. I mean, definitely, obviously, right, from when you were 5 years old to now, I would expect a little bit of growth at least, right? But it's just amazing to see somebody sort of transition into that. But I wanted to go back to your sort of early years, and we are running a little bit low on time, not too low, but I want to speak about sort of the support you got from your family members, whether that was your folks, your parents, your siblings. Did you have any support at home for when you decided that you wanted to, do magic, do acting, be an entertainer? Did you have that support?
I could say yes, I could say no. I would say that if we're specifically talking about those younger years, everybody wants you to, as a parent, they want you to do well and do what you love and be happy. And so I think that I did have that support, growing up. My parents were very, part of that, with having the party that even inspired me with Mr. Bones, to when I would do shows on the block and my mom would make popcorn that I sold and gave out for people watching the show, and driving me to the library in order to do the library shows, magic shows and everything. So I would say that they were supportive in my younger years, and even when I would go and do like plays at the school in elementary school, they were there to watch me and everything. I think that support was there. But, did that change a little bit when I get older? We'll get into that. I wouldn't say that it disappeared completely, but, every parent wants you to grow up and be successful, and this kind of industry is very difficult. And I appreciate your kind words to say that, I'm someone that doesn't give up. Anybody that really knows me knows that that's the case. And I have evolved. I would not say that anything I go and get that I get, otherwise I'd be a rich and famous celebrity, because that's what I search for, and that's what my story is me going out to California and searching that to try and make that happen. And, I didn't make it to that point, but what I did get is a plethora of talent and knowledge. There is so much undiscovered talent. If Dave Chappelle, to name somebody, or David Copperfield, was never discovered, they never made it to that point, it does not take away from the fact that they went up and performed to become as good as what they are. It's not because that they're a celebrity that they are one of the greats. That just makes them one of the greats and well-known people because they're always on TV and have done big things. But there's so much undervalued and unseen talent out there, and I think that I'm one of those people. This is not something that I've been doing for a couple years. And this wasn't something that happened just here and there after 5. I mean, I was going in on it since 5 years old until the age of what I am now, trying to make this dream come to fruition.
Sure, yeah, make it a reality. And again, I want to thank you for sharing this with us. Again, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to your story, not as far as being an actor or an entertainer, but just the struggle of making your dreams a reality, right? What it really takes to sort of what it means to get your hands dirty and actually put in work, night in, night out, year after year, and still, like you said, just be almost underappreciated, I would say. So, and we are going to get into that, and we are going to, hear more about your story because I know you have a lot of stories to tell. I don't know them, but I can tell already from just this first episode that you got a lot of stories to tell us. Um, I want to thank you once again, Michael, for giving us this opportunity to sort of learn about you and your story. Um, is there any last closing remarks that you want to say? Give a shout out.
I don't know who's going to see this video, but I've always been someone that wants to kind of inspire people, and there's so much further that we have to go with my story. This is just the beginning, but I hope that the beginning is something that inspires, because I come across too many people that when they were young, when they were 5 years old, they wanted to do something, and now they get older, they get to a point where they're not doing that. They didn't follow that dream. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a firefighter or whatever, and now they're working at H&R Block or something. They're not doing what they wanted to do when they were a kid. And I asked so many people why they gave up on that, because it just makes no sense. If you want that, just as easy as you became a sales manager or whatever inside of H&R Block, you could have become a doctor or the president of the United States. You just have to work hard for it. It just saddens me when I hear that people are not doing what they want. And I just hope that people come out of seeing this, the journey that I have traveled to get here, and understand where it started and how I didn't give up. And maybe I never make it, but maybe I do.
Life's a gamble, right? Life's a gamble, and you gotta roll those dice. And that's, I think, what you're doing. And I think you've got plenty of opportunities, not only coming your way, but plenty of opportunities are going to present themselves to you along the way. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those opportunities that have already been presented to you, and the struggle that you've been through in the entertainment industry. Once again, thank you, Bouey, for being here, telling us about your story. For those of you watching, streaming from home, wherever you are, make sure to subscribe, Bouey Films. Please like the video, comment, share it if you feel like this spoke to you. And tune in next week, man. Same channel, same time, to catch up with the story of Michael Bouey. Thank you. Whatever you do.